What's happening, people? Hope you're well. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the show. Some interesting transfer news. Well, let's be real. Some interesting transfer news that are happening every day at the moment. It's been a busy transfer window, and it's getting busier and busier as we build up to this week's weekend's Community Shield. Football is back, people. It's mad. It doesn't even feel like it's been away, if I'm honest. It feels not long ago that I was watching the Champions League final thinking, in a few weeks, chilling. That's back already, man. It's insane. LB, what are you telling me, bro?
Yeah, good, man. Good. Yeah, looking forward to this Sunday. It's gonna be decent, and yeah, man, it seems to be popping off. Transfer news is popping now, big time, isn't it? It's a shame Lawless isn't on the show, bro.
Yeah, I was hoping to get him
now in our group chat. He's doing my head in. He doesn't half piss me off, you know. I swear to God. Oh, the kid's relentless.
He actually is, man. And I wanted to get him on, but he's on another channel somewhere. I don't know if it's his channel or another channel. I don't know. God knows. But I think he's actually annoyed with the people that we have on here, me included, because I've just been trolling him the whole time. We're going to get to West Ham in a minute. Errol, what are you telling me, bro?
All good, man. All good. I've just been listening to a Twitter space of Liverpool fans, and they're absolutely having a meltdown at the minute. And to be fair, I can half understand it. Like, we'll dive into it and we'll probably have a look into it. But right now, everyone's head just seems to be gone at the minute, and it seems like a bit of a madness to me. But it is what it is. It's crazy season because there's no footy, and I just can't wait to have it back. To be honest, bro.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course. Talking of meltdowns, we don't have a Palace fan that is going to have a meltdown. Well, I don't know. Maybe we will. D normally does, man. Rich, you are here, my friend. Debut on the channel. Long time coming, man. How you doing?
No, first of all, thank you so much for the invite. Big up to LB and Errol as well. Nice to meet you both. I'm not the one to rant and rave, to be fair, but I am worried. I'm worried about my club. I think we'll get it right eventually, but we tend to leave things so late. But listen, like I said, we'll chop it up, we'll get into it. And pleasure to be on the show.
Yeah, pleasure to have you, man. Let's get straight into it. Where do we start? I suppose let's start and just touch on Arsenal quickly, because I'll be interested to get your thoughts. Fabrizio Romano is saying that this David Raya situation is hotting up, and it looks like he's agreed to come to Arsenal. I don't know what the price is going to be, but it's been sort of rumoured at around £40 million, which a lot of people are saying is quite a lot of money. A lot of Arsenal fans are saying that potentially we could get that down to around 30 to 35 million, but let's be real, it's still a lot of money. Let's come to you, Rich, man. Let's come to you on this one. Thoughts on this transfer, because Aaron Ramsdale is definitely the number one at the moment as things stand. Matt Turner looks to be on the move, and the Forest are interested in him, as well as Dean Henderson. It's a really strange one for me, this one. I did not expect it. It was a massive shock when it came out of the weekend that we were linked with him. I do think that Ramsdale is going to be the number one, but when Raya's coming in for that much, is he going to be the number one? Like, the way I see this is competition, but what's your thoughts on this one, man?
I don't think you can fault what Arteta's trying to do right here. Like, the pain and agony of how obviously last season ended is probably what's spurring on the movement as it stands. You're getting cover on all bases. And that should include the goalkeepers. Football is changed. It has evolved, you know, to the point where, especially like a club like Arsenal, you're going to want to play out from the back. Raya is unbelievable playing out from the back. And his ability to sweep as well, which is very underrated, you know. And those are the little intricacies that he does better than Ramsdale. I think Ramsdale, fantastic shot stopper. Has a few clangers, and mind you, but all in all, competition for places, you can never go wrong. Yes, it might bring about a bit of a tiff, but on the flip side, it's going to make everyone want to improve and step their game up. So I think you should be happy with this signing.
Yeah, Errol, let me come to you. I mean, listen, Boston, big up Billy, by the way, in the chat. Boston saying Raya is levels above Aaron Ramsdale. What do you think about this?
I wanted to spin it back to you, Potscar.
Go on.
No, just not even on a banter thing, just on a perspective. Like, has this blindsided you as a fan? Was you content with what Ramsdale was doing? Did because he seemed to have a lot of the backing of the fans. I don't think I thought he was one of the better players in your squad last season in terms of stepping up to the plate, really rising to the challenge. He took a lot of like that accountability and ownership on himself. You could see it, not like it weighed heavy on him, but he seemed to thrive off that. Like, I know how important it is to make sure that the clean sheets are there. I celebrate them like goals and all that kind of that mentality. So my perspective is this lad now good? Is it a big enough step up for you to feel like it's justified after the season that Ramsdale's had? Because again, it might look like Arteta and the team are being absolutely ruthless and wanting the best in class, which is fair enough if that's the case. But is Arteta basically saying we don't win a league with Ramsdale in nets? I don't know. So that's why I wanted to throw it back to you before I give you my opinion.
I think it's a great question. And I think for me, this is a competition place now. This is like, I don't have a number one no more. You two decide who the number one is. Tell me, show me who the number one is.
Don't you think that fucks it up a little? Because remember when Man U had that a couple of seasons ago? Was it with Ollie? And he was torn between Dean Henderson and David De Gea.
But it's how you manage it, Errol, is messes it up. Because if you just say 1 week Raya, 1 week Ramsdale, 1 week Raya, yeah, of course, potentially that will.
Yeah.
For me,
plus
this
the added
is about
games in the Champions League too. That's going to bring about a different caliber of goalkeeping in itself.
And do you know what? Like, before I get your thoughts, Errol, I've got to plug something last night from a good friend of mine, the Highbury squad. Go and watch it. Last night, the Highbury squad was epic. I will tell you why. Aaron Ramsdale's dad was on there. Nick Ramsdale was on there talking to Sophie Nicolau from the Highbury squad. He's very, very close with a few of the people I know. He's always at the away games. I've spoken to him loads of times. Both of his parents are absolutely insanely lovely. Like, I can't speak highly enough of the pair of them, how lovely they are. Caroline and Nick, lovely people. And he's asked that question, David Raya, what do you think? And he's like, I'm fine with it. My boy needs competition. And at the moment, Matt Turner ain't. I'm sorry, Matt Turner is all right. He's all right. He's not David Raya levels.
Yeah, no, when you put it like that, bro, that I completely get that, because Liverpool's structure is slightly different. We've clearly got, Alisson, he's head above anything else that we've got. But we've got Kevin Kelleher underneath him, who's kind of like being kind of groomed to play in that Alisson mold. Obviously nowhere near the level, but because of the age profile, it's like you're not really competition. But if you can play in the style and the system that we want you to play, we can work with you over time, if that makes sense. And then Adrian, he can only do what he can do, and he can't do anything else really. But we're prepared to do that because he's the third place. I think your situation's a little bit more unique, where you are probably going to need that level of competition. So for me, it came out of the blue. If you would have asked me at the start of the transfer window if there was any player safe in your team and in your current squad, I'd have probably nailed down Ramsdale as his position safe. There's probably nobody that can come in and upset him from what he's done for you after last season. The only thing that worries me is if you give your all, you have a great season, you do the best that you can, you still might not be good enough or deemed good enough in the eyes of the hierarchy in the club. And unless you become an integral part or the spine of that team, somebody could easily just come in and all of a sudden, not necessarily, the competition's one thing, and I think we've spoken about it before, certain players need competition, but I think you need competition in other areas before you looked at the goalkeeper. I thought you probably needed competition for Jesus, not necessarily competition for Saka, but you probably needed someone to complement Saka, to give him a little bit more rest, someone so there's not as much as a drop-off. I just feel like potentially you have given the competition to the one guy you could probably put your house on, that it was you're in safe hands almost. So it's going to be a gamble. It looks like the player wants to join Arsenal. It'll be interesting. And I'm from an outside looking in perspective, I just hope that Ramsdale, because obviously I've got an England interest as well, I just hope he rises to that challenge more than anything else.
And I think what's interesting is, and this is something that Nick Ramsdale said last night on the channel, right, was if you add up all the games that Arsenal could potentially be in, let's say we have an unbelievable season and the season we all dream of, and we're getting into the deep stages of competitions, you're basically playing, if you add up all your Champions League, all your FA Cup, all your League Cup, and all your Premier League, you're basically playing a season and a half. So he was saying this is going to be a big thing. This is what Arsenal have got to do. They've got to go for all the competitions. They've got to have strength in depth in every position. And I sometimes feel with neutral fans, you sometimes can't win because 1 minute, Arsenal ain't got the squad depth to compete with City. And then you get Raya and everyone goes, well, this is a stupid signing. So we can't win. It's like, hang on a minute. Do you want us to have squad depth or not? And then you start to sign the players like the Rices and the Timbers and Havertz, and people are going, yeah, they still ain't good enough for me. They're going straight out. It's going to be a poor season for Arsenal. Listen, I don't care because I'd rather people write us off because whenever they do that, we seem to do well. Whenever the pressure comes on, we crumble. So I'm happy for people to write us off. But I actually see this as a good signing, David Raya. I think for me, the minute Ramsdale slips up, he knew before, well, Turner ain't getting in ahead of me. Even if I let it through my legs. Now he knows I've got to play well here because this guy ain't coming to sit on the bench for too long. So the only thing I will say, LB, and I'll put this to you, how long can we keep these two happy at a club like Arsenal? Because for me, they both want first team football. And this is a position that there's only one guy getting in, man. You don't sub goalkeepers ever. So what do you make of this one, bro?
I think it's a very strange signing. I don't think it's a stupid signing. I think it's a strange signing because, like, he's too good to be on the bench for me. And this is, but then probably so is Ramsdale. So this is where the problem really lies. Is when you're looking for a backup keeper, it is very difficult to get a really good backup keeper because you obviously need them to be good enough to play in case they need to play. They need to be good enough to be able to put that pressure on your number one goalkeeper. Otherwise, your number one goalkeeper's got a bit of a coast. But they can't be good enough where they want to be playing every week. Otherwise, they're going to cause problems. And when you get to the next transfer window, one of them's going to want to go. So I just think it's a very, very strange one. And something that no one's really spoke about yet is, was this really needed? Because one thing that I think could end up happening now is, say Ramsdale makes a couple of mistakes, he's then going to put himself, Arteta, under a lot of pressure because you'll get a lot of fans then going, you need to drop Ramsdale, you need to put Raya in. And that's a lot of pressure. Kind of what Errol was saying. Did he really need to do that? Did he need to sign Raya when there's other areas of the pitch where you could have gone? I just think that it's a good signing. I think the player, I don't think anyone's saying it's not a good signing. I think it's a good signing. And I don't think it's a stupid signing. But I think he's too good. And actually, I think it could be an interesting one. I think if Ramsdale makes a couple of mistakes next season, Arsenal fans will start piping up saying, nah, he needs to be dropped. And then Arteta's just going to be having questions in the press conferences. Is Ramsdale going to play next week? Is Ramsdale? Well, he didn't really need to because I was saying, like, the guy was fine. You know what I mean? Ramsdale was fine. Maybe in the future you need to replace him, but not now. Like, there's other areas of the squad that need sorting. So I think it's a very interesting one. I can't call it either way. It's a gamble. One of you guys said it was a gamble.
What LB just said there, I think not only is it a gamble, you need to get the run of the green with it as well. I think in order for it to be seen as like a master stroke of a bit of a transfer business, I feel like everything's kind of got to go your way in the sense that Ramsdale's got to have a pretty solid Premier League campaign to warrant his place in that 11. And then I feel as though Raya's got to step up in all the other competitions that he's got available to him. The League Cup, the FA Cup, the Champions League. If he's going to be a Champions League keeper, who knows? But whenever he gets a chance, he's got to step up. And then on top of that, Arsenal as a squad have got to get to the latter stages of said competitions in order to feel fulfilled on everybody's part. And as LB was saying, then do you need that? That seems like a lot of expectation or a lot to go right when really there could have been other areas that you could have strengthened. And Ramsdale on his own for another season was a safe bet almost. I don't know.
Rich, let me put this one to you because in the chat, big up Mark, by the way. Love Mark, regular listener. Big Gooner.
That's...
Cover for Saka and Jesus is a bigger priority in my opinion. Now, Rich, I agree with this 100%. However, I think a lot of people are thinking now this is Arsenal's window done. David Raya, that's it. It's now nothing's going to be spent. Arsenal spent too much now. If that's the case, that's a worry for me because I still think we're short in those positions. But actually, there's not been anything from my side that I'm hearing that Arsenal are done after David Raya because we're still being linked with outfield players in those forward positions. There's rumours that there's going to be a lot of outgoings at Arsenal, not just the Pepes and Tavares and Lokongas, but there's rumours of Eddie and Balogun both being linked with Palace, funnily enough, which we'll come on to in a minute. But
some big dough for them as well. You want some big money for that Ballon d'Or,
apparently
don't you?
so. I mean, we're going to if Højlund goes for 70 million, then yeah, I think we will. It's madness, this market. I tell you, it's madness. But yeah, I think Saka and Jesus cover is a priority for sure. But if we get that as well, I mean, there's rumours of Kudus, which we'll talk about in a minute, and obviously more centre forwards as well, and midfield, etc. Arsenal could have a blinding window here, Rich.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just off the back of what we're saying about the goalkeeper situation, I guess what you're trying to do is when you do change compositions, no disrespect to Matt Turner, but he's not the levels that Ramsdale is. So it does look like a drop off, So having Raya instead is a plus, in my opinion. I guess he's kind of following a Pep mode because Pep Guardiola is ruthless. If you ain't cutting it, he's dropping you. But then the drop-off is never a drop-off because the quality of player coming in is just as good or better, So I think he's kind of following that mode, and it's worked for City. They've won the treble. They're winning everything as it stands. Kudus, as a Ghanaian, quality player. Quality player. Very versatile. He had an amazing World Cup. Shame we had players like Jordan Ayew by him. But he's another one, versatile, got an eye for goal and such. So let's just say Havertz ain't having the best of times. Kudus could step in easily, and fill that role. So if it is a case where you've not finished your business, then yeah, you're not looking strong.
Yeah, we are, man. Let me stay with you before I come to the boys on this one, Rich. Eddie Nketiah, Balogun. Do you see any truth to them rumours for Palace? Would you want one of them up top?
I would prefer Balogun just because I think the ceiling's higher. The problem is, I don't know. It's so difficult with Palace because I feel we're in a position where we're having to sell to buy, which is a big problem. You've just seen the amount of rumours. Our players are linked all over the gaff. Mark Gay with Chelsea, Anderson with like Newcastle and Spurs, Elise now Chelsea, City. I think Arsenal were semi-interested at one stage. Decore with Liverpool, we've just lost Wolf to Galatasaray. All it sounds is like is outgoings.
Goalkeeper as well. Guaita, is he going?
Yes, Gaeta looks like he may be going back to Getafe, and we're actually looking to get Getafe's current number one, David Soraya, in and such. Anyway, but the striker position, we're desperate. And I think that's going to hinder us because for me personally, 34 million is a lot of money for our club, personally. And then it's also looking at 34 million for Nketiah. I mean, he did all right when he came in for Jesus, but he's not clinical in for what we need. Like, if he's at Arsenal, he got 5 goals, I think.
Yeah.
And look at the service he's getting. And then you think we don't create as much. He's going to have to try and muscle up his own chances. And this is why I feel personally Balogun will work better for us. Just because I feel he links play a bit better, gets himself involved. And he may need to do that. He might have to get like rough and ready and stuff. So if we are going to splash 34 million, I'd rather it be on Balogun. But to us, it's a lot of money. Either way.
Yeah, it is a lot of money.
How much? Sorry. How much for Eddie?
Apparently 35 million pounds.
Apparently 34. It's mad, isn't it?
That is wild.
It's crazy, man. What's going on?
I hope it's not true. I hope it's not true, but yeah.
I read a comment, someone saying 35 to 40 for Eddie. I'm thinking, I can't wait to cook him, and then that's the actual price. Bloody hell, man. That's
I saw it on Twitter and I thought it was mad. I would have taken 20. I'm not even going to lie. I don't even think he's... The thing is, though,
you say that. Leeds in the championship, weren't he?
Yeah, but Joe, you say that, right? Let me give you an example then, right? And Errol will know this. Ryan Brewster went for 25 million to Sheffield United. Solanke went for 20. Ayed went for 19. What have they done? Any of them 3 players, really? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So
Liverpool don't have sick operators in the transfer market.
Yeah, they
know what they're doing. Trust me.
Correct me if I'm wrong, LB. You sold an academy striker to Southampton for like 12.
Oh, mate, we're selling everyone for like 12, 15, bro.
It's the market's mad.
Yeah, it is mad.
You know what it is? It's because I say all the time, there's a talent drain in football. So we're going to buy some like mediocre player at like 25, 30 million quid, or do you gamble on a youth player? And obviously some youth players are now obviously getting up there because you might. I think clubs are just looking at it and saying, you know what, this kid slammed it in the academy. You know, let's just take a gamble on him. Because look at Lavia, for example. I know I'm using Lavia just because it's easy because I know who he is. But like they signed him for what, 12 million, 14 million? He's going for 50 million a year later. So you can see why teams gamble.
Yeah,
100%.
The Championship City reserves. It's basically what's going on in the Championship.
And
at the minute, they're everywhere.
The maddest thing is, and you've just referenced there, Pot, you referenced the couple of the Liverpool lads that we sold. I think as well from the academy side of things, it's they want you're paying for that education. You're paying for that tutelage of being at the best institution one of the best institutions that the country's got to offer. Like that comes with a premium as well as the potential of the actual then said talent. And then of course, as Romeo there says, the inflation as well. So when you kind of add all of those factions up together, all of a sudden now in an overinflated market, you are, and again, as LB said there as well, the talent pool for strikers at the minute is very, very thin. You're either going to have to put your hand in your pocket and pay stupid fees, 60, 70, 80 plus, for potentially still a young striker as well. Let's be honest, the profile doesn't change. You're still paying daft money for a 21-year-old, 22-year-old, 23-year-old if you put your hand in the big pool of talent or that top end of the talent, I should say. Or you do what LB was saying there, where you just say, all right, I'll have a punt on one of the academy kids. You're still going to have to pay the price, but you know what comes with them. You know that they've made it through the grade. You know that they've got all of that experience that comes with being in the academy, the expectations. They've probably played for England under 21s as well at some point. So they played a decent level of competitive football right through, and they are just waiting for that next step. Oh, that's the hope anyway. They're waiting for that next step to be able to explode into the Premier League.
Errol, can I ask you a question as well? Yeah. So on the youth thing, when these clubs are buying the young players, which we have seen like explode over the last sort of 24 months, how much do you think this is business related as well for clubs, in the sense that, like, you know, like Palace, right? Let's just take Palace for an example here, Rich. Like, obviously, Hodgson's manager, like, good manager. You guys should be safe next year with him as your manager. Obviously, you're gonna have to spend some money. I know you've lost like Wilfred and that, but with him as your manager, you'd like to think you'd be safe. How much do you think that Palace might just be looking at this as a sort of like more of a business thing and say, okay, well, listen, we're probably not going to get top 10 if we go and spend £35 million on a like a scummacker like West Ham did, yeah. And we're probably not going to get top 10 if we sign Eddie or Balogun. But if we sign Eddie or Balogun or one of these young lads, and they don't even have to do like really well, and they just do like okay. They're that price, 20, 25 million. You're talking like 50, 60, 70 million, sometimes within a year. So my question is, to these clubs, how much are these signings business related? And in terms of, are they just thinking about the investment? What they're going to get back in a year's time? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we're changing our work. Apologies.
No, it's cool. No, I'll let you go in a sec. Big clubs go, or like the top clubs go commercial. What will a Pogba bring me? What will, shirt revenue? What will and Mbappe bring me? A Haaland bring me? What would those players bring me in terms of commercial? But those other clubs, as you say, those middle of the table clubs, they go for the business. What's the player going to bring as an investment? So I think it's a very good point, to be honest.
100%.
Yeah, I was just going to add that, like, we're trying to change our model as it stands regarding our players, which kind of, you can look in both ways. So we're getting players in from like the Championship and such for like 8 to 10 million, 12 million pounds and such. And now, like, for example, Eze, I don't know how much he's right now.
Go on. Put a number out there.
You know what?
He's quality, though. He is quality.
He is. I want to know the number, man. I need to know the number. Go on, bro.
All right. Because I think he's more polished than Elise is at this moment in time, I think Eze
50 or something.
Eze 55, 60 max. Elise 45.
Whoa, serious? I thought he was going well higher than that. I thought he was going to go well higher, bro.
And you remember Joe D was like 80 million for 80 years.
I thought he was going to get them sort of numbers.
Now with Elise, if he
they were on that $500,000 a week and that.
With Elise, if he keeps going at that rate, he can get to that level easily. But his injuries are a massive concern. You know, he's picked up quite a few injuries. Eze, I think he's there. Eze's there.
I think he's quality,
unreal.
man. But, you know, like Eze looks exceptional, but there's something about this Eze kid that I look at and I think you could be like
he's got
unreal, man.
He's got, but like I said,
he's gonna be
is a problem.
Yeah,
Where did
no, it is, man.
from? Rich, where did they come from?
Reading, 8 million.
Wow.
And
I think Eze was QPR
for like 50.
City apparently had Elise back in the day in the academy.
QPR have always had a good academy, though, haven't they?
Yeah.
Eze was Arsenal, you know, as a youngster.
Really?
And we got rid of him, yeah. Like very, very, very young, though. He was like 12 or something. Yeah. But it's mad.
Just to your point
there's some good players in the Championship. There is.
They really are, yeah. Just to your point about us not getting top 10. The problem is, and I think this is where our fan base is frustrated, is that we're literally not far off it. We're really not. We've just got.
Yeah, but by the way, I just said that as sort of like just to put it out there, I just said that as a sort of like.
Yeah. I know where you're heading at. I didn't take any offense, don't worry. But we're very close. Like, we finished 11th last year, and we had a torrid 3-month period and finished 11th, you know. And I think from our point of view, we've seen like Brentford come up. We've been in, this is our 11th year in a row, and we've seen Brentford come up and do better. Fulham almost was close to that European bracket. Villa, I know some of these clubs have got more money. Brighton, especially, you know, they've all like. We feel like as a fan base that all we do is stand still. You know, it's almost as if like we're happy to be here, and the more we do that, we're going to go down, not up. You know, Raya came in, did a fantastic job, and I'm optimistic with him. At first, I was thinking, let's see what else we can get. But you know what? Maybe we do need to steady the ship, especially if we don't have any money and such. But if we do fill in those little pieces, top 10 is a target. It's definitely a target. And maybe if we get a bit of luck, it's going to be. I'm not saying it's going to be easy at all, but maybe that Conference League, you know, it's going to be a big pipe dream. Don't get me wrong, but you need luck in this league. You know, but we've also got to make our own luck by buying players.
Yeah, you've also got to have a dream, bro. You know what I mean? You can't just be finishing 10th every year. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, we're forever 12th. Like last year, we got a nosebleed. We got a nosebleed finishing 11th. Like, thank you, Chelsea. But you know,
yeah, man. To finish above them was absolute jokes. I can't even lie to you. Just quickly, Rich, before we move from you, this Elise rumor about release clause, is that nonsense?
Right. So there was a release clause that got taken off. Like, there is no release clause as it stands. However, we're trying to tie him down to a new contract quick because he's happy to move. Like, whenever there's an opportunity for him to strive, he'll go. Like, there was some screenshot, like when he was at Reading, was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm not going to be at Reading no more. I'm moving to a Premier League club and stuff." Right before we signed him, so he's always
on Snapchat, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So he's always going to be looking further forward. So, like LB, when you got rid of Mahrez, immediately I was like, "Crap," you know. And I'm hoping that you're going to sign someone else and we can just have him for one more year. I think we just need one more year with Elise, see where we can go.
I think City will be in for him, you know. I think City will be in for him. I just the information that we're sort of being given at the moment is that City don't want to get into any sort of bidding war with Chelsea. So we're just waiting to see what Chelsea are doing. But I mean, you know, I think obviously we've lost Mahrez. I think he could come in and do a job. He's only 21. So I think there's loads of potential growth there, and if City can get him for a good price, I think the thing that I've seen today actually is that City don't want to pay over like 50 million for him, which doesn't seem too far off what you as a fan say. And usually fans, we always gas our players up a little bit, like probably as a value more than they are. So if you're saying that, then hopefully City, and from my point of view, hopefully City can get a deal done, because I think it'd be good for City. I do.
I think it's too soon, I think he should stay put for a little bit, man. I think one more year. Yeah, I think one more year.
Well, why say that though? Well, why not just say? Why not just say, Pep Guardiola? He's not going to go straight into the 30. He won't be playing week in, week out.
That's what I'm saying, though.
But is that not a good thing? We can just like ease him into it.
Maybe. Is he eligible for the England squad?
Yeah, I think
He's
so.
playing for France.
Yeah, I
Is
think he's
Yeah.
played for. I've seen him in a
Oh,
French
wow.
kit. Yeah, I think he's played
Oh,
for
wow.
France.
Yeah,
Didn't know that.
So he
I was
played in
thinking
the
Euros
under,
next year, but no, yeah, you're
he
probably
played
right.
in the under
Pedro.
21s French tournament, the Euros, but he pulled his hamstring. So he's out till like September.
Yeah.
I like him
I
a lot,
didn't
man.
know
I'd like
that.
him. I'd like him at Arsenal, man. We need Saka coming. I'd absolutely love him at Arsenal.
He's an unbelievable
He'd be-
player.
He looks so good, man. He looks so good. He looks a bit nuts off the pitch, though. I can't lie, Rich. He looks a little bit like his head, like don't look. I don't know if he's too level-headed from what I can
Well, I've not
see, but
seen any
maybe
of
I'm
this. Man.
wrong.
I've not seen any of this.
Maybe I'm wrong. Like,
Is he crazy?
If
I
you
just
wanna-
remember the interview. Remember that interview he did? And it was
West,
like,
it
the
was
most
a
dead
game
man
against
interview I've ever seen in
West
my
Ham.
life.
So when we beat West Ham at the London Stadium, it was like us talk us through a goal. Got the ball, shot, scored.
Yeah.
That's the one. That was the one, man.
I think I remember that. Actually.
That was so funny. I was like, "Oh, that is it," and he just walked off. I was like, "This guy's mental." Like, so like, yeah, I don't know what, but maybe that's just a bit of a laughing character that he is. But he looks,
You know, I
like
think
top
he
drawer, man.
just doesn't like being in that kind of like public eye sort of thing. So
Yeah,
he's
in the wrong
improved.
profession, then, lad. To be honest with you.
Yeah, he has improved. Like his relationship with Eze has allowed him to get a bit more out of his shell and so on and so forth. So he's getting better. He's getting better.
that's cool, man. That's cool. LB, let's come to you, man. This Carlos Borges, is it? What's his name? Borges.
I call it Borges,
no.
bro. You know what I mean?
Borges, that'll do. Looks like he's going to Ajax.
Yeah,
Can I
man.
just say, by the way, West Ham are absolutely muddied. They are the most muddied club at the moment. Lawless needs to keep away, man. As I invited him on today, but he's on a different channel, man. And he's lucky he is. They've just pulled out as well, by the way. Sky Sports breaking news from James Ward-Prowse as well. So West Ham are literally not signing anybody so far. This is a mess, an absolute mess. Like from top to bottom, you know, like we've been bantering Lawless for a bit, me and Errol, you know, in the group and stuff, just because we love him dearly. But actually, like, I can see why he's annoyed, man, because this is just a shambles. This is an absolute shambles. They knew Declan Rice was leaving. They haven't got anybody lined up. They've gone in for Ward-Prowse and decided actually he's too much. They've gone in for McTominay and then they decided on fighting over tug of war between Moyes and this Steinston guy who's come in as their footballing director. He wants like Fofana. Moyes is going, don't want him. I want English talent. I want Maguire. I want Gallagher. I want James Ward-Prowse. I want McTominay. This is an absolute shambles for me. And like West Ham, if they're actually not careful, relegation battle last season for a while, they could find themselves back down there again for me without Declan Rice at the moment. Now that they've missed out on this guy who's going to Ajax, for me, that's good news for those linked with Kudus. Arsenal are one of those because it looks like they're getting him in because he's going. Don't know where though. I think City are actually linked with him as well. LB Kudus as well as Chelsea and Arsenal. But it seems like us really linked with all right wingers like Elise. But yeah, thoughts on the player and thoughts on West Ham, LB.
Yeah, mate. I think I said this all along. I think this whole selling him for that price and negotiate. I think it's a false economy, man. You know what I mean? And this is what clubs are doing these days. They're pushing and pushing and pushing for this big ticket price. Yeah, but ultimately, does it matter? Because when you get the money in, everyone knows you've got that money, so everyone's then going to hold you in exactly the same position. And now, you're just over a week away from the league starting, and you've got not a single player in. Now, I'm not saying sell Rice for 80 million. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, you know, for them like 2 weeks that you wasted, like playing hardball with Arsenal, showing that you're the man, I'm the man, you know what I mean? We're West Ham and that. If you would have just come down and met Arsenal a little bit lower, you would have had a couple of extra days, maybe a week or so, which doesn't say a lot, but it is in the sense of a transfer.
Errol was saying this, man. Errol was saying this.
Get the deal done. And this is what I've been saying to.
Thanks, LB.
Yeah, just quickly. This is what I said about Harry Kane as well with Spurs. I think they need to be careful not to go down the same route with Bayern Munich because I think they're going to want to push for that big ticket 100 million. But if it only leaves them a week to do their transfer business, that's no help to Postecoglou, no help to David Moyes. So congratulations, they sold him for 105 million. I was, pretty happy at them smiling at the time because it is overpaid and it is pretty funny. But at the end of the day, Arsenal now have their player. They're not worried about overpaying. And West Ham are now in the mud because now everyone knows they've got 105 million. And everyone knows that they're getting this 105 million in the next 18 months because they broadcasted it to every single journalist. So I just think that I really like West Ham, but I feel like they might have strong-armed Arsenal a little bit too much. And now what they're going to do now?
It looks like a real mess, man. Errol, anything to add on that, bro?
Bro, I just want to drop the mic. But literally, that's all I need to do, our kid. He's literally taking the words out of my mouth. I've been saying it to Lawless, and it's not even on like a banter thing either. I've been saying it because, and my justification for saying it to Lawless in the way that I have so far this window is Liverpool last season spent the majority of our summer trying to wrangle and negotiate the Salah deal. It took up so much energy, took up so much resource that we dropped the ball on other key areas. Oh, we got Darwin Núñez in. That's great. We just need to work on Salah now. And it took us the majority of the summer to get it done. And before you know it, the season starts. And there are other holes starting to appear within the squad that you can't rectify now in the actual season. So I just felt as though it's in West Ham's best interest. Forget the price. The price is by the by. You know, Lawler said he got every right to want the money that they want for the player. Sound. But the fact that they dragged it out and they put so much time, effort, and energy into it, I was having this thought on the way down to before we did the stream today. West Ham might have actually wanted to do that distraction tactics because they had no plan. They had no backup. So the longer they fuck around with Declan Rice, the busier they look like they are. We're busy bees. We're busy worker bees. We're working away on a deal. We've got to get Declan the best deal for him and the best money for the club. But actually, they're not safeguarding the future of the club by bringing in the players that are actually needed. But that might have just been a big circus just to look busier than what they actually are. And right now, they're not doing fuck all. You've absolutely shit the bed in terms of the incomings. And I feel sorry for Lawless because I fully get his frustration, but he's blind to the fact that this big distraction has definitely hindered their ability to operate. Even as LB said there, if you've got that level of dough, teams know it. You're a walking pound sign. Anytime a team turns around to you and says, that's the asking price, you best believe that's the price you're going to be paying for them.
And it gets even worse as well, Errol, as the season starts next week after this. So, like, you know,
bubble.
Exactly. They've got the worst of both worlds because everyone knows they've got the cash. And now the season's about to start. So typically, you know, if the season starts, the team doesn't really want to sell the player because I guess they'll be in their plans. So I just feel that, like, they might have just messed up a little bit here.
Joe, thoughts on this, man?
Yes.
The West Ham were your kind of Premier League neighbours most of last season, man, down the bottom there, and they got away with it. But this don't look good for them, does it?
No, to be honest, and I think the lads have hit the nail on the head about the fact that these clubs now know that you've got money, right? So it's like, well, we know you've got the dough, so you're gonna have to pay what we want. I think, to be honest, as a championship rival of Southampton now, I want James Ward-Prowse gone. I want Lavia gone. Do you know what I mean? Because it just weakens them massively. And ultimately, I think they will leave. I'm sure they will have to agree something because, like LB said, the season starts soon. Where else are they going to go? And from what was I listening to the other day? I can't remember if it was Scott Minto or something like that. They was saying, like, and I think you touched on it, Dan, that he wants to go British, right? He's lost Rice. He might be losing Creswell. They lost Noble the season before that. I think David Moyes is very much a bit like Brexit. He wants to have an English core and probably wants to have someone in there and probably sees James Ward-Prowse as that guy. I'm not sure where else. Where's he going to go? I tell you what, I was listening to Jim White as well. Mark Warburton's left, Danny, because apparently their relationship behind the scenes wasn't great because Mark Warburton kept coming maybe with more attacking sort of vibes, and they were, at loggerheads. So Mark Warburton said, I'm out. So maybe things aren't great behind the scenes. And I think the thing is with Moyes, he's won a European trophy, but best believe if he loses the first three, they want him out again. Do you know what I mean? So I think there will be a parting of the ways at West Ham soon enough anyway. I think last season's signings were not suited. I don't know, is Paqueta going to stay around? Apparently Scamacca is, and then you've got Antonio and Filthy Fellas saying like, oh yeah, he's never suited our style and all that. I don't know, it's not great. David Moyes doesn't have a good track record with it because they signed Haller a couple of seasons ago. He left and then was getting top scorer in the Champions League. Do you remember? So it's like
crazy.
David Moyes has to switch him up for the players that he's got, I think, and I just think he's reluctant to do it, Dan. So he could be sacked this season.
Oh, Joe, as well. That's another thing that pushes the price up. Buying British players, because obviously we all know. So that's three things now that push the prices up. One, everyone knows you got the money. Two, the season's about to start. And three, you only want to buy British players. Three things that all inflate the price. So, this is the thing. You go back to the original point, right? Would West Ham would have been better accepting a lower fee or spread it across maybe 3 years or 2 years instead of 18 months or whatever the thing is, and getting this deal done, a couple of weeks earlier and then go boom in the market, you know what I mean? And maybe broaden the horizons than just British players or that big ticket item of the 105, it just doesn't work, man. It's false economy. We all know it. And I think they might pay the price. And another thing I would say as well, West Ham have not got, as Joe just said there, they've not got the best track record of like signing players. They always seem to be like penny pinching, with the Skamaka thing and that. And they've done it over the years. So I don't hold much hope here. You've got David Moyes on a podcast saying he could have signed Julian Alvarez, but he thought Mikel Antonio was the way to go. Like, it's just not. And then you've got Mikel Antonio on a podcast saying this other guy's not great, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Has this club just won a European Cup, by the way? Like, they should be about to kick on it. They should be about to be really excited.
No, but that's what I mean. 3 games in. Sorry, Errol. 3 games in. 3 games in, and they'll be saying get him out again. Whereas any other club just won a European trophy, he gets a grace period. He's not getting that.
And do you know what, Joe? Do you know what? They're the first 6 games, right? They've got 3 games they should win against Luton, Sheffield United, and Bournemouth. The other 3 are Brighton, Chelsea, and Man City. Yeah. So if they lose them 3 and they don't win the other 3, then it's going to be Moyes out from the fan base. Yeah, of course it is. 100%. And they could be lining up, mate. They could be lining up with Souček, Paqueta, and Fornals as their midfield 3. I mean, that let's be fair. Paqueta's all right, but Souček and Fornals or Flynn Downs, one of those guys, come on, man, that's just not strong enough, is it? So I can see why Lawless is peeved. Let me throw a grenade though, because LB and Joe, I can feel it. I can feel it getting heated already because this Kalvin Phillips thing's got to be discussed. Because LB's done. He's not a fan. He's not a fan. And I know really? Joe loves him.
Oh,
I know
Joe loves him. No, I think that's
not LB. No, that's like a dagger to the heart, man.
That's not fully the truth. Okay, so let me tell you where I'm at with Kalvin Phillips. Okay, first of all, he's got great on the ball, of course. I think with the problems that we've had with him so far have been off the ball mobility, right? My problem with Kalvin Phillips at the moment, right, is that for him to play for Manchester City, he needs to be at his best. For him to be at his best, he needs to play. Well, he's not going to play because he's not at his best. So it's just like a vicious circle. We had Kovacic play 45 minutes. This is the God's honest truth, my own opinion. Some other City fans can disagree. That's fine. We've seen Kovacic playing the CDM position in pre-season, 45 minutes. My opinion, that was a better performance than I've seen Kalvin Phillips play that position since he's joined. Now, I'm not saying that Kalvin Phillips is finished at City or whatever. My opinion is, to get for him to be able to play in this team and play successfully, he has to play football. He's not going to play football. He's just not. He's not going to outdo Rodri. So he's going to be playing 20 minutes at the end of every match. That's not going to get him up there. And that's why actually in pre-season I've been saying we need to be playing Kalvin Phillips for 90 minutes every match to get him fit and get him going. And unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So I don't think it's going to work out. I want to be wrong, but I don't think it is.
Did he have a stinker the other day? Because someone messaged me actually saying
he didn't play well, Joe. He didn't. And even on the ball, he was getting caught on the ball, and that's really where that's not what you should be doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love him, mate. I think he's a top player. What I will say, Bielsa turned water into wine. He was that type of coach, and prior to Bielsa coming in, a lot of us would have sold Kalvin, right? I told you before, he was playing more advanced. He was scoring goals, to be fair.
He was.
Errol, he was, for a little bit, under Thomas Christensen, and it's mad, really. And everyone would have sold him. And Bielsa was just amazing. Like as a manager, amazing. And what he did with certain players, like some of these players that played Premier League football were never Premier League footballers, really. So maybe he's lost a bit of that, LB. And look, I love Kalvin. He's come from humble beginnings, all that, and to go from on not a lot of money to all of a sudden on massive amounts of money on a 6-year contract. is the same drive still there? I'm not questioning him because I do believe it probably is, but I don't know. Maybe it's not going to work out for him, and maybe a move to a Villa or a Newcastle or a club like that that's not quite top six might have been best for him. I don't know, but I hope it works out for him. But I think, it's not gone great, has it? I don't think.
So, LB, can I ask a question? And apologies if I've got this completely wrong, because I was thinking about this last season. Was he bought for the English quota? Because
I think we're fine on that, bro. I think we're fine on that. I think so. Unless I'm wrong, maybe someone in the chat can let me know. I don't think that was the thing.
My question was similar though. Was he? Did you buy him when he was injured?
No, we bought him, and then we played a charity game in the middle of the season. Which, I'm all game for charity, I'm on all that kind of shit. I don't know if it should be played in the middle of the season. You know what I mean? Played in pre-season. We played it in the middle of the season. The guy got injured, man. You know what I mean? In a mid-season friendly against Barcelona.
His injuries let him down as well for me. Like, he hasn't been fit enough, has he? And I like him. I actually do like him. I think
I like him.
I thought he had a quality.
Sorry, Dan. He got injured in that because I was at the game because we played West Brom in our final Premier League, and it was when we were allowed back in the ground, for the last home game of the season. And he went into a tackle and got injured, and obviously the Euros was just around the corner. So, and he played a lot of minutes in the Euros. I think it was only Stones that played more than him outfield minutes. So, those that are hammering him, he did play well for a period of time, but maybe he rushed back for that because, of course, you'd want to play for England. He had a big role to play in it. Then he's got his move to City and maybe his fitness levels aren't what they needed to be. So it sounds like there's been a number of different factors, but the man, the human, is a top guy, and I wish nothing but the best for him.
And West Ham
LB.
I've said that before, but I've been told that he's meant to be a proper nice guy and that, and I'd have no doubts about that at all. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that, but I just think the guy just needs to play, and unfortunately, I don't see that happening.
Would you sell him right now, LB?
Yeah, right.
Would you sell him right now?
We'd need a replacement, but yes, I would. The reason I'd sell him is because I don't see it working, and this was the point I was just about to say. People are comparing it to Grealish, completely wrong. Because the difference with Grealish was in his first year, he was still playing. You get me? So the guy was still playing football. Phillips ain't playing football, and that's because I fundamentally believe, as I've said on the show now, that's his problem. He needs to play to get to his best, and he's not going to play. So that's why, but I probably would sell him, unfortunately. Not because I don't like him, just because I don't like him.
If you're gonna sell him, what's the price?
Bro, we bought him for 40 million. I don't think you're going to get that, in my opinion, because
guys not cheap, really.
I think it'd be a great buy for someone like a West Ham.
35 million is actually a good price.
I was going to say that's a really good price for Kalvin Phillips. If you used to say 35 mil, I could see a few clubs having a gamble on him, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. I
don't know if you guys agree with this one. Sorry, Dan, just real quick. One of the things that I say quite a lot is I actually think it's more difficult to buy backup players, squad rotation players, than it is first team, because anyone can identify a first team player. You lose Salah, you're looking at the Mbappes of this world. You know what I mean? And it's easy to. Anyone can do that, right? But when you're buying a rotational player, so for example, if I'm buying a backup to Rodri, okay, so I need to buy someone who is, as we kind of discussed with Raya and Ramsdale, someone who is going to be capable of playing in that position when he needs to play there, but is going to be accepting that he's not going to be playing every week because you're not going to be playing in front of Rodri because he's the best CDM in the world. Can go maybe 4 weeks without playing a single football match, but then be dropped in to a really big game and be expected to perform. I think it's really tricky, man. I think it's actually
James
harder.
Milner was a servant. That's why a man like James Milner, you've got a player of that.
Yeah, I agree.
They are very rare to find. You're spot on there. And I think on top of that as well, it's the expectation of being able to keep the squad balanced and happy. You've got to have that. And I think Arsenal have pretty much, like you've experienced that with Jorginho. You've got him now where he's kind of at the tail end of his Premier League career. He's probably had his best days at Chelsea. So he's probably happy to have a reduced role and still be a part of big moments within a football club season. But it's very, very difficult to find a player in that sweet spot that isn't good. And again, unless you're trying to build a squad, just like built on competition, everybody has a fair crack of the whip. Everyone's based on merit, and if you work the hardest and you are the best in training, you will nail down your place, and that's how the deck of cards will fall at the end of the season, and you'll see who the best players are. But not many teams are really set up in that manner anymore. You kind of got your bang on players that are always going to be in, and then it's the other players that are on the fringes that it's like, well, how? And I'm interested from our perspective how we keep our front five happy this season, because we've got arguably probably the most prolific looking front five of any of the big clubs right now, but you can't play them all at the same time. So two of them are probably going to be sitting and holding the bench and being used as subs and bit part players. And how do you get them all in at the same time? And how do you keep them all happy? It's going to be a very interesting dynamic, but it is very difficult.
Biggest challenge for me for Arteta is to do that. If we're getting all these players in, he's got to keep them happy, and that's so good what Pep does. Rotation for me is just how he does that every year is just sick. So let's do that. Before we wrap up, I want to touch. Go on, John.
Did you touch on the goalkeeper situation? Have I missed that, chat?
Yeah, you missed that, my bro.
Mate, I think it's wild, man. What's going on?
I know.
And do you know what else as well? I really, really rate Ramsdale, by the way. I really, really rate him. But the amount of Arsenal fans now are like flipping and going, Raya. And I'm like, hang on a minute, man. It's funny.
You'll get that, mate. You'll get that. We'll go with whatever happens. Like all of a sudden, Kai Havertz was on everyone's transfer list. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Is it serious? Like, is he going to bring him in?
Yeah, sounds it. Fabrizio Romano says agreed terms, and it's now about agreeing at a price. They've already replaced him. Brentford, they've got a new goalkeeper in who's going to be the number one, according to Matty, the lad who we know from this channel, Brentford fan. And man, it looks like it's going to happen, Joe. So that's crazy. Wow. But you're right, Arsenal fans. Oh yeah, that's brilliant. Raya's going to be amazing. And Kai Havertz, he was the one I wanted. Anything?
Well, that's 100 million. Nobody wanted. That's 100 million right there.
Yeah, man, 100 million. Absolutely mad.
On players that might not even play. Sorry.
Errol, can I ask Errol a quick question as well? I've put Darwin Núñez is on my watch list on FPL at the minute, but he's been smashing it in pre-season. Does he need to be in the team? Yeah,
I get him.
Is that what we're saying?
Bro, I think he's going to have a scarily good season. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. Not because I think this team's built to set up chances. Moving Trent into that inverted role is built.
I always liked Darwin Núñez. I've told her all this.
I like it, bro. I think he had so many chances. If he would have converted even another half of the chances he missed last season, he would have finished on plus 20 goals for his debut Premier League season. And I know Haaland was a freak in the fact that he got plus 34, 35, whatever it was. But for Núñez in itself, I thought that would have been very good. I think he's going to kick on this season. He looks confident. He looks like a different beast. Just in response to DJ Andre Young, we've got Núñez, we've got Gakpo, we've got Salah, we've got Jota, and we've got Diaz. That is a front five, man, bro.
What a baller Diaz, man. Diaz is unreal, by the way.
Diaz is the one that I'm least favourable of as well. Liverpool fans come at me.
Really?
LB.
What?
Yes, get in there, Errol.
What, man? I was sorry. I've got a message.
I love this.
What just happened?
Errol would have. Errol. LB would have Diaz ahead of Martinelli, and Errol's just said that's the one I'm least favourable of. Get in there.
Diaz. Really?
You know what it is for me? I think he's a special talent, Diaz, and I rate him. I think he's got a high ceiling.
I like Diaz, but I just don't think
he fits in our system. I think he's an individual as opposed to a system player. He looks good on his own, but when you're asking him to do what we need him to do on that left-hand side, for us, it's just lacking a bit for me, if I'm being completely brutal. I don't think he's bad by any stretch of the imagination. I just don't think he's the glue to hold that left side of our attack down for me. So he's there to prove me wrong, and I'll be happily proved wrong because I think he's quality.
Well, we need this show anyway, Dan. I've told you to arrange
the
show. I'll be the referee, man. Get me in there, the referee.
I'll get LB on. I'll get me and Errol. I might even bring on Harry and Grizz as well, to be honest, and see if we can do it as a big thing, man. I combined our Arsenal and Liverpool 11. Listen, I've got 2 minutes, Errol. Lavia, is that going to happen?
I'm still hopeful. I'm still hopeful that it's going to happen. Liverpool needs
make it happen, please. Leave Decore alone.
We just need to put our big boy business pants on and just get the deal done. We're half arsing about over the, like, you're arguing about 5-6 mil potentially out. And I just think someone made an excellent point in one of our group chats today. We spent nearly 10 million on Arthur Melo's loan last season, and he didn't even play a full 90 minutes for us.
Wow.
If we're now prepared to let Lavia slip through our fingers over what could seem to be 5 to 7 million, that is criminal. That is fucking unacceptable. We can't be doing business like that from on the back of 12 months ago, doing stupid business with like Arthur Melo. So for me, we've got to get it done. We've digged ourselves a hole now. The only way out of it is bringing the player with us. Simple.
Yeah, man. I think it'll happen. And I think Liverpool, along with a centre-half and Lavia, that could look pretty good for you this coming season, particularly with Trent in that midfield, because he has to be going in there now. He looks ridiculously good there for club and country for me.
Vice captain as well. Big up, man.
I saw that. Yeah.
I seen that video. It was nice, wasn't it, actually?
Bro,
do you see the video?
Lad, it's quality for the black scouser to see another black scouser taking an armband or taking that level of responsibility in this day and age. Like my son is, by the time he gets to be the captain, my son will be old enough to be onto like 40 players to get me. So like that kind of representation in modern day football to me is everything. So massive congratulations to him, because he's a credit to act for football, no matter what your racing creed is. It just goes to show your working class backgrounds can still make it to the highest level of the football and pyramid, man. It's quality.
He's won it all, man. The lad's completed football, man. He's won it all already, hasn't he, really? So it's mad.
He's sick, man. He's sick. I totally understand what the way people talk about him in terms of his defending, but you cannot doubt the talent of the lad is just ridiculous, man. He's a sick footballer for me. Guys, we're going to leave it there, man, because I know people have got to shoot off. LB, always a pleasure, my friend. How can people follow your pod?
Yeah, man, it's LB on the climb to 4K, man. So any help towards that, be massively appreciated. And then just City Extra for all your City content, man.
Great stuff, man. Make sure you go over to City Extra and LB to get him up to 4K. Just Joe, what you on now, sub-wise, mate?
Ooh, nearly 22, bro. Nearly 22. Flying. Nice, and what I will say to anybody, I know you're all Premier League focused, I get it, but there's a small matter of the Championship starting this weekend, all right? So put it in your calendar. A Sunday, 2:30, we play Cardiff City. So come and join me and I'll be watching that shite.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Go watch it. Go watch Joe. Make sure you go subscribe. Errol, likewise, man. Redmen TV. You'll be on here. You'll be on Grizz's channel, and obviously Solitaire Side Up, man. Thank you, mate. It's always a pleasure having you on, bro.
Pleasure, bro. Appreciate it. Thank you every time, man. Thank you.
Nice one, man. And making it.
Chat's been on fire tonight. Big up yourself.
Yeah, chat has been absolutely lit, and I appreciate that. Rich, a debut, but it will not be for long, man. You're going to come back on, I am sure. Pleasure having you on, my friend.
No, a decent Palace fan, man. A decent.
Yeah, we don't know they exist on this channel, man. He sends us all loopies, you know what I'm saying? So big up, man. How can people follow you, bro?
Really appreciate that. Yeah, that's Eagle Eyed Football on YouTube, Crystal Palace content. Joe, you're saying that we're decent. I mean, I am hoping we nick Nonto or some of it off you, by the way. So,
yeah.
You might not.
I mean, Nonto, to be honest, his attitude stinks. I think he wants out anyway, so you can have him, mate. In all honesty, we need some cash. Take him. He's shit.
He's rubbish. Big up, man. Big up, Rich, for coming on. Make sure you go over to Eagle Eyed Football as well, man. And we will see you guys next time. Make sure you hit a like on this. Make sure you subscribe. Literally 100 and something off of 11K now. So come on, people. Let's do this tonight. Take it easy. We'll see you next time. And up the Arsenal. Latest, people.